It is 7:23. Levelling up is the government's favourite description of its hope to help poorer parts of the UK. But what does it really amount to? Well, today they're announcing £80 million expansion of the Opportunity Areas programme, which helps vulnerable young people from the most disadvantaged areas improve in key subjects such as maths and English. Gillian Keegan is Apprenticeship and Skills Minister, and we can speak to her now. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
William Hague was on our programme yesterday, and he talked, as he wrote in the Times actually as well, of a need for a radical revolution in education. He suggested a national mentoring programme online or making the best lessons available digitally for everyone. And I just wonder, this is all welcome news that you're announcing today, but is there an appetite for revolution in the Department of Education?
That's actually what we say. We're going to revolutionise our technical education and skills training system. So, yes, there is. That's actually what we do plan to do. And, it's really making sure there's a couple of things. One of the really important things is actually bringing employers to the centre of our education system. So actually almost making sure that what we develop as qualifications and as training is actually fit for the 21st century and exactly what they want. So there's really very little gap between what you study and what you go on to do in the workplace. So that's quite a key part of it, the employer-led system. But the other part is really making sure everybody's available, aware of these career options, because at the moment has been, more and more people going A-level university, and that's been a huge growth in the last few years, and that's great for 50%. But the other 50% don't have as many great options in terms of technical education. So that's what we're trying to do, make sure that those options are very strong into really well-paid jobs.
You talk about the gap between, there's that 50% and the other 50%. And actually, I was looking at statistics around Blackpool, which is one of the places you mentioned in your release today. The attainment gap there is more than 2 years between the poorest and the wealthiest children. And I just wonder whether personally you feel that, will you have failed if in 5 years' time, or any date you want to pick, that gap exists at all, or certainly exists to the extent of 2 years by people in their 15 and 16, and they're already 2 years behind people who are wealthier?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a comprehensive school in Knowsley, which is right there with Blackpool in terms of the figures. And to be honest, these are very long entrenched problems. So, as I went 30 odd years ago, and I think it's increased by, I think the attainment gap has narrowed, but it's still massive. These are difficult challenges. So I couldn't honestly say, in 2 years' time, this will be completely eradicated. But what I could say is actually there's a fantastic college, further education college in that area, offering brilliant opportunities, whether it's apprenticeships or full-time training in Blackpool. And what we're trying to make sure is that people don't have to leave Blackpool, or they don't have to leave Liverpool, where I grew up. You can get access to fantastic education, which is really going to give you the skills to get really brilliant jobs where you are. And what we're also trying to do with levelling up is make sure that we put more emphasis on investment in jobs, and obviously moving some public sector jobs into these areas as well. So, these are long held ambitions. Actually, people want to do this. The question is whether you can implement it and whether the timing is right. And I think the timing is right for this, because I think we've worked very hard with employers to make sure we've got a system that if a young person in Blackpool goes to the college, their Blackpool and Fylde College, they will have access to really great training that will get them really great jobs.
Let's talk about something else, if we may. Confusion continues over travel and amber list countries, particularly in government, it seems. Lord Bethell, the health minister, says people should stay in this country. Simon Hart, the Welsh secretary, told us on Times Radio some people might think a holiday is essential. George Eustice said people might go to amber list countries to visit friends. And I know you used to work in the travel business, so it'd be unfair for you not to add your 2 pence on this. Should people be going on holiday to amber list countries, in your view?
No, not to amber list countries. And plus, it's very expensive, right? I mean, to come to this country now, you need a negative test. You need a test before you fly. You need a test on day 2, a test on day 8. You need to quarantine if it's a red list in a hotel, if it's an amber list in your own home if you have one. So it's a lot of aggravation. It's a lot of cost. So no, what we're saying to people is they're on the amber list countries. They're there for a reason. They're there so that you can travel for business. You can travel for particular situations. Funerals. If there's some specific care issues or that in your family. There are some exceptions, but holiday, where you have a choice, we're advising people to only go to the green list countries. And of course, there's only 12 of those, so most people we anticipate will stay at home. But, this is where we are today. So we announced the latest on the 17th of May. And then the next stage of the roadmap is the 21st of June. And I think there are a lot of people who are hoping that there could be more countries on the green list on the 21st of June, but we really have to look at the data, look at the evidence, look at the Indian variant and all the other factors, and advise then.
But anyone going to Spain, say, on holiday and pretending not to is doing the wrong thing.
Yes, I mean, I have a house in Spain. I lived in Spain for 8 years. I'm desperate to go to Spain. But I mean, right now, it's not the time to go to Spain.
Great stuff. Gillian Keegan, thank you for speaking to us today. That's Gillian Keegan, the Apprenticeship and Skills Minister. That was clear, Asma.